Can you tell when someone's lying by their tone of voice or their stress level? Police think they can with the help of a machine that has put some people behind bars. But there are critics that say the contraption is no better than a sewing machine for determining the truth. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
Just after 9 in the morning in West Palm Beach, Florida, as a helicopter swoops in low over what is called the National Institute for Truth Verification. This is how the day starts for its owner, Dr. Charles Humble, who has become a wealthy man by selling what he says is a virtually foolproof system to help catch criminals and liars.
1,500 police departments throughout the country have paid $10,000 per system over the last 18 years and rely on it exclusively for truth verification.
Yes.
This is Dr. Humble's truth verification system, a laptop equipped with a microphone and loaded with a software program called the Computer Voice Stress Analyzer, the CVSA. The system produces a kind of voice print said to show stress, an indication of deception.
No. The instrument will tell you whether or not the individual is telling the truth. If they do not respond truthfully, the instrument will tell us that.
I just want you to say yes, no, okay?
Police in California used Dr. Humble's CVSA to help get a 14-year-old boy to confess to killing his younger sister. In Nevada, police arrested this probation officer on rape charges after he failed a CVSA test. And the U.S. military has been using Dr. Humble's machine on terror suspects at Guantanamo Bay and in Iraq.
We have a remarkable record of success with the system.
This has become the gold standard?
That's correct.
If they answer yes.
But it has become the gold standard, being sold to more and more police departments every week, despite growing questions about the scientific validity of the machine and about the credentials of Dr. Humble himself.
Is there a single scientific study that shows that this actually works?
I don't believe there has been an independent scientific study that shows this actually works.
Not one?
I don't believe there has been.
So how can you sell it as being so effective?
Well, the CVSA sells it.
Shouldn't there be some science that backs up what you're saying?
Well, the CVSA sells itself.
Dr. Humble says the machine can only really be tested in the field, where he says it has an accuracy rate of 98%.
I didn't do it.
But he clearly was not including what happened in the case of 14-year-old Michael Crow, the California boy who confessed to killing his sister. The machine got it very wrong. 12-year-old Stephanie Crow was found stabbed to death in her bedroom. Michael was brought into the Escondido Police Department for questioning and hooked up to the CVSA in the middle of the night.
Is today Thursday? Yes. Did you take Stephanie's life? No.
The detective then tells Michael that he has failed the test.
And it showed that you had some deception on some of the questions. Okay? That doesn't know you. Okay? I can tell you in my experience, that's very accurate.
I started to think that, maybe the machine's right, especially when they added on top of it that the machine was getting my subconscious feelings on it, that I could be lying and not even know it.
Crow, now 21, says at the time he believed the detective's claims about the machine.
They said the machine is more accurate than the polygraph and is the best device for telling the truth, for finding the truth.
So you believe that?
Yes, I believed them.
Once he was told he failed the test, Michael says he began to doubt his own memory and wonder whether maybe he had killed his sister.
Can you tell me what you did with the knife? What? God, I don't know. I didn't do it. So swear to that. Does that mean you can't tell me about the knife? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. We can't bring her back. She's gone. You don't know what to do anymore. I understand.
I didn't want to go to prison, and I just wanted to be out of that room. So my only option was to just say, yeah, I guess I did it, and then hope for the best.
You got a knife. Went to the room. Then I stabbed you.
Michael's parents, still grieving over the murder of their daughter, were now told their son was the killer.
It was horrible to be told that your son had killed your daughter. They told us they had evidence, and they considered this voice stress analyzer and this interrogation evidence.
Michael spent 9 months in custody before police finally found the real killer, a transient who was convicted based on DNA evidence. The false confession and Dr. Humble's machine were denounced by the judge.
And he said that he found it as reliable as a Singer sewing machine.
Could your machine be wrong?
I don't believe the instrument was wrong. Now, were the examiners wrong? I don't know.
But the machine indicated that when he said he didn't kill his sister, that he was lying.
Right.
The machine suggested he killed his sister. Do you owe Michael Crow an apology?
I don't believe I owe Michael Crow an apology.
But when the Crow family sued Humble's company, the case was settled out of court after a top executive admitted under oath the machine can only detect stress and is not capable of detecting truth or lies.
You would agree that the machine cannot measure or determine whether somebody is lying.
In a word, yes.
This device is nothing more than a prop.
John Palmetier, a PhD in psychology, studied the machine for the Michigan State Police where he worked and says his study and others found there is no scientific basis for Dr. Humble's claims.
You could not accurately discriminate between truthful and deceptive subjects using that device.
So somebody could lie and get away with it.
Easily.
And would people tell the truth and be seen as liars?
Easily. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Yet hundreds of police departments swear by the machine's usefulness, as Dr. Humble's promotional videos and the website show.
We don't have any unhappy customers.
Palmetier says, in his view, that's because the machine works as a prop, a $10,000 prop.
You're saying it might be useful to scare somebody
Oh, exactly.
into admitting they'd done something wrong.
Police officers have for years.
Humble says his machine is under attack from people who are supporters of the standard lie detector, the polygraph.
If you're looking for a prop, that's an awfully expensive prop.
But maybe is that what it is, though? Is that how it really works?
Absolutely not. And again, if you do the research and you go back to these police departments and ask them, the error rate, according to them, again, is extremely, extremely low.
But we found some police departments, including one in suburban Las Vegas, have stopped using Dr. Humble's machine because of concerns about reliability. In Nevada, Vincent Sedgwick, the married father of a young daughter, was wrongly charged with rape, carrying a possible life sentence, the arrest warrant based in large part on his supposed failure on a CVSA test.
I went from shock to anger and a lot of resentment, and very bitter towards them for doing that.
All right.
The judge in the case, Lee Gates, was equally outraged, throwing out the charges against Sedgwick and harshly criticizing the police for relying on a machine he called scientifically unreliable.
Not only did they use it for investigative purposes, but they used it as a predicate to get him arrested and to have him charged and brought into the criminal justice system, which I think was the biggest miscarriage of justice.
How about the Sedgwick case in Las Vegas? Anything to apologize for there?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Machine was not wrong?
No.
You think Vincent Sedgwick was guilty?
Yes.
Sedgwick may have been cleared by a judge in a court of law, but not by Dr. Humble's $10,000 machine.
The CVSA...
There's no mention of the Sedgwick case or the Michael Crow case on the promotional videos Dr. Humble uses to sell his machines to American law enforcement.
And we're talking to Dr. Charles Humble.
And throughout the materials, Humble is always introduced as Dr. Humble, even though, as Primetime discovered, he is not a medical doctor and has not earned a PhD degree from an accredited university.
You feel comfortable calling yourself Dr. Humble?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
The diploma he has on his office wall, Doctor of Psychology, was awarded by a Bible college in Indiana that used to have an office in this strip mall where Humble's first office was located.
Indiana Christian University.
Is that an accredited university?
No, it's not accredited. It's, well, when I say it's not accredited, it's...
And you call yourself Dr. Humble based on that?
Yes.
Is that honest, do you think?
I think it is.
A PhD in psychology.
An honorary, yes.
Did you take any classes there?
Yes.
What classes were they?
It was 6 hours.
And what were the classes in?
Bible. There were Bible studies.
And that's the man who now says he's become an important part of the war on terror, selling more than $1 million worth of his machines to the U.S. military. Military officials confirmed to Primetime the machines were in use at Guantanamo Bay Prison in Cuba and at prisons in Iraq until the Pentagon finally banned them.
You would not use it?
Would not use it.
Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Counterintelligence Robert Rogalski says the Pentagon ordered an exhaustive scientific study, the results being made public here tonight, which found little or no relationship between the CVSA readings and the actual presence or absence of deception and stress.
We feel we need a greater reliability than just, as the report indicated, chance. In other words, flipping a coin.
Rogalski says the failure to find the truth could put the lives of American soldiers at risk in Iraq. He was alarmed to hear about a document from Humble's company boasting that one of its employees had used the machine in Baghdad to free a number of suspected terrorists.
It's very troubling. How truthful was that result? And if there's a question, then I'm concerned about that.
Concerned that maybe 8 or 10 people who were terrorists were set free.
Absolutely.
So you just don't trust this machine.
That's correct. That's correct.
The high-flying Dr. Humble told us today that the new Pentagon study is just another flawed scientific test and that his business has never been better.
You sell this with a clean conscience?
Yes, I do.
It's now 8 years since Michael Crow failed his test on Dr. Humble's machine, and he is still trying to get past the experience of being accused of his sister's murder and locked up for 9 months for a crime he did not commit.
It's a scare tactic, but it's an expensive one, and it's unfortunate that you have police officers who believe in it. Who knows how many mistakes they've made by taking this for faith.
Now, you might think that people who make false confessions aren't that smart, that maybe they have low IQs. But is that the case? We took our hidden cameras to Williams College, one of the top liberal arts schools in the country, and look at what we found out. Take a look at this experiment. The lab is set up to look like an interrogation room.
Have a seat, please.
Cramped, stark walls, and hot.
Tony, you want to be the first typist?
Okay, these freshmen think they're being tested on how fast they can type.
Y-I-H-N.
But in reality, this is a setup to test if they will falsely confess. Here is the ruse.
You see the Alt key next to the space bar?
Yes.
Whatever you guys do, don't hit that key. Because there's some kind of quirk in the program and it could really mess things up. Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
But it won't crash the computer at all. The question is, can the instructor and his secret accomplice, the other student in the room, get the subjects to falsely confess to hitting the key?
Whoa, stop, hold on. Did you hit the Alt key? I don't think so.
Let's see how Quinn reacts when he's told he hit the Alt key.
Lost everything or just this? Yeah.
Professor Casson, who designed the experiment, says a false confession is created by two things: an authority figure insisting on guilt, and then lying to a suspect about false evidence connecting them to a crime.
If you look at proven false confessions, in almost every single one of the cases you can find, there was a presentation of false evidence, either by falsely claiming to the suspect that he failed a lie detector test or that the victim's grasp had his hair in it. So we wanted to bring that hypothesis into the laboratory to test whether or not the presence of false evidence increases the false confession rate.
So first, the instructor, an authority figure to a student, tells Quinn he did something wrong. Now watch what happens when the accomplice lies, supplying the false evidence.
Did you see anything?
It looked like he hit it with the side of his finger.
Oh.
Quinn never resists.
Sorry.
The confession is written out, and Quinn signs it.
Hi, my name is Saul Casson.
After a few moments, Casson comes in.
First of all, you didn't break anything. Okay.
That's a relief and a reality check for Quinn.
It's just really disorienting, and if two people are telling you something you
Do
did,
you live the Alki? I don't think so.
and they say like, no, I saw you do this, you know, you just sort of have to agree with them after a minute.
One after another, these highly intelligent young adults succumb.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I might have.
No one actually crashes the computer, and there isn't even a threat of punishment.
Read the statement. Like you just signed.
But each one signs the confession.
Sorry about that.
Of course, pressing a key is much less of a wrong than murder. But these kids weren't faced with the kind of hostile atmosphere you saw in the other cases tonight.
Now you better tell these two detectives right now what happened.
And Casson says the mechanism is the same. Threatening interrogation by authority figures who can manipulate the truth.
Even as you raise the stakes, you're still going to get a certain percentage of people that get broken down by the process. And when the false evidence is presented, they confess.
How did that happen?
I guess like with the side of my finger.
7 out of 8 students did just that. It comes as a big surprise when Casson tells them the real truth.
Have you heard anything about false confessions? Do you know anything about
Oh my God. Yes.
Even when students were told in a similar study that they would have to pay hundreds of dollars to replace the computer.
And they still got false confessions.
But judging from the students, the experience made them believe that anything is possible.
I think if there are people telling you that they had evidence and they saw you do it, or they know something about it that you apparently didn't know, I think you could confess to doing something like murder. It would be that confusing.